Welcome to the morning show, your wake up at Watches and Wonders. I'm Belle Donati and I'm delighted to have you joining us from all around the world at this breakfast time. Well, let's find out everything you need to know about the day ahead. We're going to start this morning with the biggest brand announcements from yesterday.
People will look at it and say, Jesus, they forgot the day-night indication, which of course is important if you want to set the time. You don't want all these indications advancing during lunchtime. You want to do it at midnight. But rest assured, we did not forget about it. We took what we learned with the Lange 1 moon phase and put that into the perpetual calendar. So if you see a light blue sky behind the moon, then it's day, and if it's dark blue, it's night, and then you know exactly when to set your watch.
Another one of these subtle differences.
Indeed.
That makes all the difference.
The moon has always played a central role in the life of civilization, and we still have today an enduring fascination with our natural satellite. In watchmaking, the moon phase is one of the earliest known complications and often displayed with much precision. But science and art always live together, and at Arnold & Son we let our imagination run free to represent what is today the biggest three-dimensional moon ever displayed in a wristwatch.
At the heart of the Monero Minute Repeater Symphony is our MR3000 manufacture movement with a peripheral winding system and a peripherally suspended floating tourbillon. It features, as its name suggests, the most sophisticated complication in the art of watchmaking.
Pour cette occasion, la G12 calibre 12.1 s'impose exclusivement dans sa robe de céramique noire. Ses chiffres sont maquillés d'un dégradé circulaire de 12 touches de couleur qui rythment son cadran, sa lunette et quelque part électrise son look. La G12 Electro donne le ton de la collection et introduit 4 interprétations de haute horlogerie. Un coffret de lac noir dévoile un polyptyque de 12 J12. La composition vibre au rythme d'un dégradé chromatique à 12 temps. Indissociable, l'ensemble forme une création unique. Ce concept J12 Electrobox, quelque part, je l'ai un peu conçu comme une performance.
2021 is an important year for Geiger-Lecoutre as we celebrate the timeless story of Reverso.
Well, there you go. You are all up to date on those announcements. Let's dive into the finer detail on them now. And to do that, I'm joined by Ding Zhixiang, Editor-in-Chief at Chronos China. Thanks very much for joining us, Ding. I just want to start with this idea. I mean, for me, look, even to my eye, there's a real sense with these announcements that we're in the sky. Is that a theme you're picking out?
Well, yes. Well, this is why we love to go to the watch fair to see something new. For example, like when you look at the watch, you never realize there's relations between the astronomical field and watchmaking. For example, if you look into the new perpetual calendar from Langwan, you will see a lot of details related to the astronomical concept. For example, like moon phase. For example, even the detail of the calendar, advancement of the calendar, also astronomical related. This is why, if you look at the latest model from Arnold and Son, they have a very strange moon phase. I mean, typically the traditional moon phase is just a moon phase showing on a dial with through its window, but now they made a true moon, a ball. At the 6 o'clock, which you can feel just like what we see on the sky.
And I know it's perhaps a stretch, but we're also in the sky with Chanel as well, aren't we? Because we're getting this idea of a rainbow with them.
Yeah. And then this is something very interesting. The color is now very popular in the watchmaking field. It is kind of a la mode now. For example, if you take like a J12, it used to be only in the black or white color, either black, white. And nowadays, if you look in the whole watchmaking industry, there's blue, there's green everywhere. So the Chanel J12 is also leading this kind of trends. Now they present the novelties with a kind of rainbow color, either rainbow bezel or a set of 12 watch with different color bezels that made a complete rainbow set.
Lots of wonderful pops of colour there. We've also got some new additions that we saw there of some well-known models, haven't we?
Yeah, of course. This is something because when you go to the watch fair, you will see a lot of like very familiar models or brands. And then, for example, like the reversal from Jaeger-LeCoultre. But whenever you see something new, and then you will see, for example, whenever you see the novelty, which is named like Hybris Mechanica Caliber 185. So this tells you that going to be something. So it is really something. This is very complicated watch, the most complicated reversal ever made. Like 4-phase, 11 functions, 1.35 million euro price. Only 10 pieces will be made. I mean, this is something. I mean, the watch fair is about.
Ding, thank you so much for taking us through those. Ding Zhixiang there, Editor-in-Chief at Chronos China. Well, it's time now for us to take a view from the top. Lots to hear from the bosses of brands today. We're going to start with Antoine Pin. He's the CEO of the watch division at Bulgari, and he's joining us from Neuchâtel. Mr. Pin, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for welcoming me.
How important is Bulgari's dual heritage when it comes to your watchmaking? The fact that you're Swiss and Italian.
It's crucial. We've been in Switzerland. We've been installed in Switzerland for almost 45 years now. So clearly, our teams are in Switzerland. They're Swiss. But what makes our difference is our Italian origins. We were born in 1894. We are, let's say, inspired by the Italian culture, and that's basically what we aim at identifying and showing in our collections.
And do you think there's going to be, in terms of market positioning going forward, is there going to be this year this emphasis continued on the thin watch, on lifestyle from Bulgari?
Well, we do continue our let's say, our journey throughout these collections of thin watches. We continue to unveil products in that direction. It's basically truly inspired by the way, by our Italian origins, the quest for elegance in our timekeeping pieces. And yes, we continue the journey. It's also for us somewhat the obsession that drives the developments of our research and development, the motivation of our teams to continue to push ourselves in the world of watchmaking.
And of course, Bulgari is known as much for its watches as for being a jeweler. What does that mean when we're talking about women's watches?
That means that the first, let's say, the first intention every time we develop a watch is to bring the preciousness and the aroma heritage to our clients. So definitely, our roots as a jeweler inspire us in our designs, in our development, in our connection with what we call the mestieri d'arte, which are, let's say, the craft, the creativity that we thrive to propose in all our products for ladies.
Now, of course, it's been a difficult last year. Looking forward to 2021, into 2022, what are your ambitions? What are your hopes for the year?
We hope for serenity first. We just want a bit of quietness in order to run our businesses and to run our developments. I think it's very important. We need some, let's say, some confidence and some stabilization. We need to bring back the connection to our clients. So that's what we want. We want the vaccines. We want the travel again as well. We want, let's say, to get back to some kind of normality. That's what probably, I guess, all our industry is looking for.
All your industry and all the world, to be honest. I think we can all agree with that. Tell us about this new complications watch that you're announcing.
Well, we are actually we continue to explore the world of ultra slim watches. This is now we are entering into the world of perpetual calendars. It's as you know, probably one of the most let's say historically famous complications. The capacity for our watches to show the time until the year 2100, and we are displaying those functions in a different way. By the way, without moon phases, but with retrograde functions. And we are displaying this in a watch in a case that is as thin as 5.8 millimeters and a caliber that is extremely thin because it's only 2.75 millimeters. So we continue our journey. More importantly than whatever you may call as a world record, it's actually the essence of a product that is elegantly placed on your wrist, that is, let's say, emphasizing the Italian style that really we like to bring to our clients.
Oh, that's lovely to see. Thank you so much. Antoine Pin, there, CEO of the watch division at Bulgari. Well, we're also lucky enough to be speaking this morning to Chris Grainger-Herr. He's the CEO at IWC Schaffhausen. Good morning to you, Mr. Grainger-Herr. How are you?
Good morning, Belle. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Now, of course, your incredible new manufacturing space opened in 2018. Since then, obviously, the world has changed enormously. But how has that space changed the way your in-house manufacturing works?
Well, you can imagine that after 150 years of heritage at IWC, me being an architect, to have the opportunity to redesign really our manufacturing from the ground up in a completely new facility, a new site, I was excited like a puppy, you can imagine that. And it's been a 6-7 year journey to design a completely new space that both represents all of our skills at IWC. The engineering presents a completely different way of working together for the teams in an open plan environment that can adapt all of the time. And of course, increase the amount of visitors that we can bring to IWC virtually at the moment, but physically all of the other times, to really understand step by step how a raw bar of metal and a raw plate of brass is turned step by step into a watch movement, a watch case, and ultimately a completely assembled watch. And that's a unique new way of doing it that really harks back to our founding principles of bringing the best of technology and the best of craftsmanship together, as our American founder originally set out to do back in 1868.
Absolutely. It's beautiful to see that coming together. I wanted to shift gears a little bit and ask you about sustainability. How important is sustainability to IWC?
Well, I think it's in our DNA from the very beginning. The first manufacturing that was set up here by the River Rhine, where I am now, basically one floor above Jones's original office, was powered directly by Campbell from the River Rhine. And today we even get all our power from the hydropower plant, which is literally 200 meters down the road. So there's this great sense of continuity. And when you make an emotional product that should really bring joy to people, I think it's absolutely critically important that our clients can feel genuinely good about the product they're buying from IWC. And that's why we've embarked on this journey to not only make our watches last forever, our perpetual calendars being maintained and programmed all the way to 2499, and then we just need to change the century slider to give them another 300 years of lifespan, but at the same time also improving every element from our materials to the supply chain to the packaging to all of the elements that go into our distribution to ensure that our impact on the planet is minimal, that we're preserving skills and jobs and building the creative arts and craftsmanship in the heart of Europe here, and we really make a product that people can feel genuinely good about.
We've seen some exciting news in the retail area for you. Last September, you opened a new flagship boutique in Zurich. I'd love to know how that's gone. Obviously, it's been an extraordinary year. Do you still believe in that face-to-face experience and how that will continue after the pandemic?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we are selling a product that is full of emotion and that is full of values that people want to identify with. So at the end of the day, and you see that very often when you connect to brands that purely exist online, at some point in an emotional purchase, it's very difficult to feel a brand if there's no personal connection. And what our clients are looking for in terms of what they need to feel at some point is, what does the brand stand for? What does it represent? And who are the people whose creativity and craftsmanship goes into these products, and what do they stand for? And this means at some point you want to connect in person. And we've seen throughout COVID-19 how much even the online selling was informed by people going on video chat, picking up the phone, connecting with our colleagues and connecting with the brand. Even on Clubhouse more recently, you see how much there's this hunger to meet and find out who are the people that create these products. And that's why I think that retail is changing now in terms of the integration between the online and offline, but ultimately immersing yourself in a space about craftsmanship, about storytelling, and about the history of those timepieces, and connecting personally with people behind the brand will become, still stay an absolutely essential element of our business.
Really interesting you mentioned Clubhouse there. That's that new invitation-only sort of social media network. It's based on voice. You have been embracing digital innovation. There's also this Cyberloop technology. Just explain to us a little bit more how you're using that.
Yeah, that's one of those things, again, where we're bringing technology in to really connect better with our clients. So the Cyberloop is actually a video streaming headset for watchmakers that streams the viewpoint the watchmaker has looking at the inside of a watch movement to any screen and any device in the world. And that allows us to have a client who's hundreds of miles away actually see their individual watch movement and the work, the intervention the watchmaker is doing directly on their mobile phone or on their screen on the iPad and so on. And that's, again, for us, a different way to bring content to our clients that you can't experience any other way, because normally people are not watchmakers, at home. They can't open the inside of their watch movements and really see what's going on. And if you have a guided tour around a movement like a perpetual calendar by a trained watchmaker, that's truly fascinating.
Absolutely. So really embracing both the digital and, of course, the in-person interactions. Thank you so much, Chris Grainger-Herr, the CEO at IWC Schaffhausen. It's time now for us to have a look at the watching brief. Now, every day we are taking a look at a different angle, a different aspect of watchmaking. Today is all about design. Let's start with a short film.
Watchmaking can no longer do without designers. Every detail makes sense. With this piece, Chopard is celebrating the 25th anniversary of its Fleurier manufacture. For the occasion, the company presents its very first jumping hour watch and a central minute hand. This timepiece incorporates the Chopard's Quattro technology, which offers an autonomy of 8 days thanks to the 4 barrels. With its ethical gold case and a Grand Feu enamel dial, this watch offers a finely crafted minimalistic design. Its 4.85mm thick manufacture movement added to the elegance of the watch. The Poinçon de Genève distinguishes this new creation from Chopard. From the movement to the white Grand Feu enamel dial, this entire masterpiece is produced in-house in a 100-piece limited edition. This highly architectural timepiece presents a regulator-type display on a colored hand guilloche dial. The hour is presented on a counter at 12 o'clock. Then the minute is displayed by a central hand. and the second by a retrograde hand at 6 o'clock. Water resistant to 100 meters, the steel case houses the Chronos Swiss caliber C.301. The base of the dial presents a handmade guilloche with turquoise hues, referring to the Paraiba tourmalines. The bridges and skeletonized hour rings have undergone a black galvanic treatment. Indexes are in block-shaped superluminova. The onion crown and the fluting of the case give a classic look to this limited edition of 50 pieces. With every movement, the display of the timepiece changes its color like the Paraiba tourmaline, giving its name to the watch. As usual, Hermès surprises us with this new Hermès H08 watch, which demonstrates a keen sense of detail. The sporty lines are in a circular dial integrated into a case with smooth edges. The original typography, especially the 0 and 8, resonates with the shape of the case. Paced by the automatic manufacturer H1837 caliber, the model displays the hours, minutes, seconds, and the date at 4:30. Its 39mm cushion-shaped case is made of graphene-filled composite, a resistant and ultralight material, and is topped with a sunray satin-finished ceramic bezel. The new Hermès H08 line offers 3 large cushion-shaped models, a graphene-filled composite, a black DLC-coated titanium, and a satin-brushed titanium. Elegance and sobriety are the key words at H. Moser & Company. This model is a perfect illustration of this with its slender case and its refined dial, where the brand's logo is discreetly displayed in transparent lacquer. The steel case houses the manufacturer HMC 200 caliber. The smoky blue lagoon-colored dial evokes the reflection of the ocean and displays the hour, the minute, and the second. The hour and minute hands are supporting global light inserts, a luminescent ceramic. Together with the luminescent dots on the flange, they provide an excellent readability even in the darkest of nights. With its interchangeable straps in Kevlar, rubber, steel, and leather, this watch owes its name Mega Cool to its ability to adapt naturally to all situations. At Nomos, it's Bauhaus talking. For this school of thought, form follows function. This 40.5mm diameter steel Metro Neomatic model is an excellent example of this type of design. The uncluttered silver dial features a minute scale with Arab numerals. The date is displayed on the periphery thanks to the 2 red markers surrounding the day's date. The time indications are completed by the small second at 6 o'clock. The watch is powered by the manufacturer caliber 6101, which is distinguished by its slimness. With its fabric strap, this watch speaks the language of minimalism. Following the Bauhaus spirit, this timepiece presents a design reduced to the essential, equipped with a practical complication and based on a reliable and precise movement. The mint green color, the triangulation of the skeletal movement, and the carbon treatment of the titanium case give a unique character to this very architectural watch. This model is aimed at globetrotters, with the display at 3 o'clock of a second time zone on a 24-hour scale. The open work of this counter reveals the micro rotor engraved with a dual time indication. The local time is located in the center of the dial, while the small second is positioned at 1 o'clock and is surrounded by a retrograde date. The barrel at 5 o'clock provides a 2-day power reserve. Available in 38 or 42mm Piccadilly cases, this watch with tone-on-tone rubber strap will never go unnoticed.
Well, now you've seen the watches, let's have a chat about them in some more detail. To do that, I'm joined, first of all, in the studio by Gianfranco Ritschel, independent watch consultant. Morning to you, Gianfranco.
Morning, Belle.
Lovely to have you with us. And then, of course, from Shanghai today, by Carson Chan, Chief Advisor to the Fondation. Morning to you, Carson.
Morning, Belle. Morning, Gianfranco.
Wonderful to have you with us. Now, Carson, when you see those watches that we just saw in the short film there, are there any key themes in terms of design that are jumping out at you?
Okay, so for those of you who are paying attention to watch those 6 pieces showed up, I don't know if you noticed, I saw something repeatedly coming up and up again. It was some sort of green tone. Now, out of the 6 watches, there were 3 that had some green tone out of it. Did you catch that?
Gianfranco, did you catch the green? I mean, I certainly saw green, but again, I'm not the expert. Gianfranco.
Carson, I really didn't expect you to unveil this secret so early during the week. Come on, huh? You made a kind of suspense a few days ago. But be careful. If we talk about watches, yeah?
But I also noticed something that is interesting in there. It is the clean and very puristic design of several pieces.
Of course, we talk about design. We cannot only talk about colors and colors. There is something more. And even the simplest shape, the round shape, can be interpreted differently. As, for instance, we saw in the video this Chopard Luc with this round dial, only one hand jumping hour, or also the mega cool of Moser, which doesn't have any inscription, nothing. It's a puristic approach, or the typical Bauhaus style of Nomos with this structured dial. So these are 3 completely different interpretation of round shapes.
Absolutely. And it's not only about round shapes, is it, Gianfranco?
No, in fact, more and more we see more structured dials, dials which are designed in a more, let's say, complex way.
Oh, here we go. He's got his gloves on. He's going to show us some of these watches. Brilliant.
Come on, fingers. Show what you can show. Here, you see, for instance, this Chronos Swiss here, which is, by the way, green also, Carson. You're right. But we have here typically this structured dial in 3 different levels with bridges, with indications one over the other one, which is so typical and more present today. And another mint green for this Spic Marin here, where you can see truly how the indications are really highlighted and the bridges coming nearly from the outside to the inside. That's a kind of trend, a kind of design evolution we've seen a few times.
Carson, what do you make of those structured dials?
I love the way that it's taking the construction of the case into the movement and onto the dial. This is something that is very interesting and making a mechanical watch movement more artistic than ever.
That's really good to hear. Gianfranco, I know we've talked about the round. There's also some other shapes going on. There's a little bit of playing with shape, isn't there?
Of course, yes. We talked a lot about the movement, we talked about materials, but we should also talk more about design, because the first thing we can see, it's the look, the design, the shapes. So therefore, we mentioned also this new Hermes H08, which is typically something which plays with different shapes, where 2 shapes, the round and the square, combined gives a 3rd shape. Generally in watchmaking, we're actually speaking a lot about octagonal shapes or 12 facets, but here we just have 2 puristic shapes together and well combined with an interesting dial. And I love square watches. That's why I can talk hours about this kind of design here. What do you think, Carson? Does it reflect your taste?
Well, I think you're absolutely spot on about the shape. Shape has become also one of the main trends this year. Now, it's interesting what you're holding in your hand. I've not been able to see it in person yet. But I noticed this watch is a 39 millimeter. So it also has to do with the size of it coming back to smaller, right?
Yeah, and if you could see it like I can do now, you will really recognize how the design is the most important element of this watch, where the square, it's even taken here on the second hand counterweight. It has the same square shape, the numerals has the same square shape, and even the links. I love this combination, this kind of harmonic way to make a kind of signature over all the watch.
And Carson, you mentioned there that the watch is getting smaller. How big did they used to be?
Well, they went from about 45 to 47 millimeter, now coming back down to anywhere between 40 to under 40 millimeter.
My goodness, so we've seen a shift, haven't we?
Absolutely, it's going smaller and smaller. We could see even more than 46 millimeter diameter watches in the last few years. And now people are coming back, or the brands are coming back and making perhaps more sophisticated shapes, but smaller, adapted not only for some other wrist sizes, but to the more refined watchmaking like we had in the past, 50, 60 years ago.
That is extremely good to know. I hope you've all been taking note of that. Thank you very much, Gianfranco, and to Carson. We'll be speaking to you again during the week. But before that, we have got to go behind the clock face. Now, this is where we invite you to dream, going behind the clock face. So first, we're going to take a dive behind the dial with Cartier. They've done something quite unusual. They've developed a luxury watch that's powered by light. Well, that was Cartier. Now we're diving behind the dial with Panerai, their new concept watch, which rethinks the materials that are used in watchmaking. Futuristic stuff there from Panerai. And finally, we're peeking into Piaget's infinitely personal configurator. Let's take a look. And just a note to finish from Piaget, they do say that making your own watch is quite an addictive process and you may end up with more than one. Well, we're going to go now and have a look at what's coming up in the panel. Every lunchtime, as you'll know by now, the Fondation is hosting a panel discussion, and every day here on the morning show we are having a quick look at yesterday's panel and, of course, at the panel coming up. To do that, we're joined every day by Pascal Ravessou, who is a watchmaking expert in his own right and, of course, the Director for External Affairs at the Fondation. Morning to you, Pascal.
Good morning, Belle.
So we started yesterday with corporate social responsibility on the panel. What were the sort of key themes from that?
It was a very active and interactive session yesterday with a lot of reactions from our audience. audience. So a key concern for them is about materials and packaging, not only recycled materials, but also animal leather alternatives, as well as the upcycling of packaging. So that was a very strong reaction. Another one was a need for the brands to be fully transparent and not, only be doing greenwashing. It was something that were coming back and back. And maybe the key outcome from our panelists was the wish for collaborative approach in order for all the brands to define common objectives and monitoring so that we can have really a more sustainable industry together.
That's very encouraging to hear. Today on the menu, we are going to be talking about distribution in a post-pandemic world. What are the main themes that you think are going to be discussed then?
Well, distribution is one of the areas in the industry that has evolved the most in the recent years, and certainly with the COVID crisis even more. So the few perspectives we will discuss is the perspective for physical retail. Some say that it might be on the verge of disappearing, when we'll see that. Then the development of e-commerce and other hybrid forms of distribution. How local customers are becoming a central focus point with the disappearance of traveling customers. And so we'll have a look on what would the future look like.
Absolutely. And who are we going to have for that discussion?
Well, on stage with us, we'll have Renaud Littré, commercial director for Cartier, talking about new channels and connected retail. We have Philippe Tardivel, the marketing director for Hublot, talking about digital boutiques and local initiatives and how to build relationships to digital. Then we have the CEO of Moser, Edouard Mellon. The digital commerce, but very human approach and retail partnerships. Then we have the founder of Hodinkee, Ben Clymer. Hodinkee, born a media and now becoming a prominent e-tailer. And well, to close it, we have the Dr. Stéphane Giraud from the famous IMD school in Lausanne, rounding up and defining some access for the future. Okay, fascinating stuff. Well, I shall certainly be watching. I hope you all will as well. Pascal, thank you so much for talking us through those talking points. Of course, the panel will be available B2B and on replay after the event. I'm afraid that's it from us for this morning. I've had a great time waking up with you. Now that you know the talking points for today, try and start your own conversations. Go onto the platform, find something new on that platform, explore around. Don't hesitate to come back to us and watch again. And we will be here tomorrow. Bye now.